Well, you're creating a culture.
Yeah.
You know, if people want to, row at the same ferocity in the same direction, I mean, that's they're going to take a bullet for you.
Yeah.
That's the kind of culture you got to. It's tough to create, but
it is. But I think that part was so important. Like even when we eventually shut down, because I burn out hard. Like writing everyone like a handwritten thank you note of like, this is everything that you brought to the team. I love you so much for what you did for us. Wow. And have people just be like, yeah, you're probably one of the best bosses I've ever had. And I'm like, that makes me feel so good. And it wasn't even that I was trying to reach that. It was just like, how do I make you coming to work every single day feel good? Because I'm asking those girls, we had most a staff of women really. How do I make them feel good about being here and working as hard as we have to work in order to get out as much as we have to get out of a less than 1,000 square foot building? They were grateful. And I know there's a lot that I could have done differently, but I feel like I did so many things right in that it was like, yeah, I want that. I want that to continue.
It was the prequel.
Yes.
You know?
It was a heck of a prequel for sure.
Yeah, it's leading to something and we learn the lessons along the way.
Hey, what's your problem? You have business problems? We have business solutions.
Yeah, occasionally.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Life is a fight.
It is.
In business, every day is a fight.
Goodness.
So, hey, what's your problem?
Oh, yeah, this is the What's Your Problem podcast. Thank you, John David Wells, for the big voice intro. Check him out at the Wells Report on Facebook. This podcast is about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals and the strife they go through. We like talking about strife. It's always something. That's the big topic. That's how we got started. This is a video and audio podcast. Check us out at what'syourproblempodcast.com, where you can pick your poison. You could watch us. You could listen. We've got about 18,000 different platforms we're on. And we're always looking for that elusive 10,000 average downloads per episode number. If you could help us out, share, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that fun stuff. And let somebody know about it. And if you got somebody in mind that is a good opportunity or a good option for us to bring on the show, let us know. If you're that person, let us know. We're open for all things. I'm your host, Jim McCarthy, with JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com and It'sYourShow.co. And today, I'm going to dare say a Spring Hill celebrity. We got a few of those. I'm going to say Sarah Bread.
Yes.
Is that where that's going to be your monitor? Bring that mic a little bit closer to you if you could.
Yeah, definitely. Sarah Bread, I guess if you're friends with me on Facebook or have seen me on Facebook, that's probably what you recognize me as. Everyone calls me the Bread Lady. That's a really good way to tag me as Bread Lady.
Bring the point of the mic a little bit. Yeah, bring it down a little bit. There you go.
Aha, there we go.
Perfect. I want to be able to hear you and your wonderful story because you've built up quite a reputation over the past several years. A lot of people love you and like you. And, that's why we have people on. It's because you're well-liked and you got a story to tell, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been sort of a whirlwind. And I was very much a wallflower before I moved here and just sort of said, screw it. When we moved across the country, I'm just going to be a different person now because I can. And I'm loud and colorful. No one knows me. Yeah, I'm loud and colorful on the inside. Let's be loud and colorful on the outside.
There you go. Well, speaking of color, we're going to do something called the Dad Joke Challenge. It is brought to you by Mr. Ed Fox with Trade Bank of Nashville. If you're big into, if you're looking for other options, instead of the typical option of cash, sometimes barter can be smarter, as they say. It plugs you into a network of other businesses that also agree with that. And you can trade your items and, bakery items and stuff like that with other businesses and cover other costs for whatever your costs are, if that makes sense. All the info is in the description. Check them out. Trade Bank of Nashville. And Ed Fox always does the jokes because he's a huge dad joke fan. And he's from Australia. And there's only 5 of them. So let's make sure we count. You can groan, you can laugh, you can comment, roll your eyes. Okay. But typically they start out and then they get better. So
okay.
Number 1.
My friend tried to sue the airline for losing his luggage. He lost his case.
Oh my gosh.
He lost his case.
Ha ha ha.
I understand. Yeah. Number 2.
Did you hear about the old man who passed gas in the elevator? It was wrong on so many levels.
I heard that one before.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Wrong on so many levels. I had to get past the, hold on a minute. I didn't hit enter to pause the actual thing. There we go.
It was wrong on so many levels.
We'll just go into the number 3. Here we go.
Why couldn't the bicycle stand? It was too tired.
Too tired.
Oh my gosh.
I know. There's a reason why people like these things.
My uncle was telling me he just watched a show about beavers. Said it was the best damn show he ever saw.
I saw that coming from a mile away.
I love that though.
Final one, I promise. Here we go.
My friend was telling me about all the sound engineers he knew around the world, people from France and Germany and Bulgaria. I said, I know a check 1 2, check 1 2.
Oh my gosh.
Sound engineers.
Oh my gosh.
Now you're loaded for the weekend. You can tell your jokes.
I love it. Okay, I gotta say, I did come up with one that was sort of. There was a guy that my ex used to do a podcast with,
Right.
and his name was Yaron. And so I don't know why I was like, okay, so when you hit record, do you say you're on your own?
That's good.
So
I like it.
yeah.
There's a friend of mine who's got a dog named Anya. And I go, did you get any Anya?
Oh my
I know.
gosh.
It's awful. And it's, yeah. You know, especially when she eats. Hey,
Yeah.
did you get any, Anya? There you go. The Dad Joke Challenge. Check him out. Trade Bank of Nashville, Mr. Ed Fox. He's been on the show as well. I think he's been on 3 times. He's part of the 3 Timers Club. So,
wow.
Sarah Bread, we're going to get into all things you. So you're like a lot of people. Spring Hill's become very transient.
Yes.
While Middle Tennessee and Tennessee right now is very transient. A lot of new people coming to town and to the state. But we were the OGs. We moved here before it was cool. We're like Tennessee hipsters.
Yeah, I
Right?
think it was right as soon as people were being like, "Hey, Spring Hill's like kind of a thing." Because we got here in, was it? No, I guess it was 2014. So I've been
Right.
here a lot, shorter than you have. But yeah, it was still.
It was only 2014 you got here? Really? Okay.
It feels like it was longer, but no.
Oh,
So
wow. So then you just kind of hit the ground running.
yeah, I mean, we were here for 6 months, and then I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to bake for the farmers market because I had the idea of doing that back home, and then we're like, well, it's too expensive on the West Coast, so we're going to move across the country and kind of make it to where the quality of life is a little bit better. If we can like have our kid play outside without feeling like someone's going to come snatch her, like all
Drive
that kind
by?
of stuff. Yeah.
Where in
Yeah.
California were you?
So Southern Orange County, and then eventually into Northern Orange County, kind of Fullerton area.
Okay.
So-
That's the area of California that everyone hears about.
Yes.
The fame, like LA and all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
that's where they made all the shows, like the Real Housewives of Orange County, which, fun fact, is about 10 minutes from where I grew up.
Ah,
So if I wanted to run into them, I could just go to like the grocery store and probably run into them.
you
But,
should have.
I didn't really want to.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not exactly the people you want to keep, their company you want to keep. Yeah.
There's other things that are more important to me.
So you were born in California though, right?
Yes, I was born in the same hospital that my dad was in Orange County.
Ah.
So, yeah.
And then a majority of your life spent out there, finally said, I've had enough.
Yeah, I mean, I moved around a little bit. Lived in Tucson, lived in Asia when I was really little. Like, I remember having pot stickers before I remember having Cheerios.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
That's kind of cool.
yeah, so just sort of like all these different culinary experiences. I was born on Thanksgiving Day, so I was born to eat. Like 8
Really?
o'clock in the morning when people are starting to get their turkeys ready to throw them in the oven. Like I heard there was food. So
So is it the 24th of November?
25th.
Okay, so because it
Yeah.
vacillates every year, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
around the same time,
Yeah.
you're having turkey and mashed potatoes for your birthday.
Year before last, yeah. But typically my birthday is always celebrated on Thanksgiving because that's when everyone gets together. So
Right.
I get cake and pie and a feast.
All
Like,
right.
Yeah.
It's like having your birthday on Christmas, man.
Yeah.
Is that a raw deal or is it twice as fun?
I feel because this is like far enough away from Christmas, I don't
Yeah.
get like the double up present. Like a lot of people, they're like, yeah, I don't have a birthday gift. Everything's in Christmas wrapping. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so
My youngest daughter was born at the end of January, so she kind of has that same effect.
yeah,
It's like, hey, I get another Christmas coming at the end of the month.
yeah.
You know. So you move here, and then what was the kind of your first impression of us?
Well, when we were looking at houses and stuff like that, like talking about the barter system and everything, I'm like, that sounds great. I love this. The first church that I went to, they were having an Aunt Bee Day from Andy Griffith's show. And it was everything from making pies to all this stuff. I'm like, I know how to do all that. I'm totally going. So I guess it was one of those things that like the togetherness of everything was really I mean, that was super welcoming. I love that. I love that people say hi to each other here more than they do there. I'm like, I feel like I moved to Mayberry, kind of.
Yeah.
So it was really, it felt good to have that after not having that growing up.
And it's funny because in Connecticut, where my wife and I grew up, I remember people waving to each other and being nice. And then something happened where in the Northeast, because in Connecticut, that's where we're from, everyone just started getting nasty, and it was like, maybe it was New York just, permeating outward. And we ended up moving to Vegas in 2001 and then realized, wow, people actually are nice and talk to each other and the quality of life is better. And, you don't have to make $300,000 a year in order to afford a house. You could actually do it on a decent wage, 80 grand a year or whatever. And it was like people would talk to you in the supermarket. Yeah. And then while we were there, maybe it was us, maybe it's us that we bring it to the other places. That kind of declined. And then we moved here and rediscovered, oh yeah,
like the same
civility
thing happened again.
Yeah.
It's interesting, the phenomenon that the more people there are in one place, like they're closer together physically, but they're
cranky.
Further apart emotionally. They don't connect as much anymore.
Well, especially now with social media.
Yeah. But the same thing was in California, where if someone were to come up and say hi to you, you'd kind of almost be like
suspicious.
What do you want from me?
At least they say hello to you.
Yeah.
You remember the episode of Sex and the City where they go to LA?
I never watched that show.
Okay. Well, I'll set it up. They basically, the girls, they're all based in Manhattan, right? And they take a trip for a weekend out to LA and they're all blown away of how great the people are in LA. But then they realize they're just full of crap. But they're putting on airs and putting a veneer on.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll just go back to New York. At least we know where they stand and where we stand with them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a typical salutation in New York is, what are you looking at?
Yeah. I did go there the first time in November, and it was almost like nobody makes eye contact with each other, but still there's a certain synergy because there's so many different people and there's like a choreography of like how everything works. I'm like, this is really efficient, but nobody talks to each other, and nobody if you do, they're like, what do you want?
Yeah.
So
and if you do make eye contact, it totally vibes them out.
Yeah, they're like, what are you? Okay, tourists, obviously. So.
See, we used to go down to the city all the time when we were kids. I mean, we moved out when we were 25. That ended our time up in the Northeast. But we took our kids back in 2018 to visit the city and show them where we grew up and everything, our houses. And we spent 3 days in the city. And probably in the first 6 hours, I was like, just get me out of here. I'm done.
Yeah.
But I pretended to be like from the South. So I'd get on the corner of a street and be like, hey, where's that World Trade Center? How do we get down there? And like, this guy, get a load of this guy over here. Where should we send them? Let's send him over to Jersey.
Yeah.
But that it was fun. So you get here and everybody's welcoming. It was kind of like not shooting fish in a barrel, but I mean, all you had to do was just kind of do what you did and just be yourself, and you started attracting bees to the hive, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was back when the local Facebook page was a little less, we'll say, whiny.
What in the world are you talking about?
We're just going to sugarcoat that one a whole lot. So I got on there and I'm like, okay, well, I need to meet people. And if this is where everyone is, this is the best place to meet people.
Right.
And then got involved. My friend Erica and I did the art walk in 2015 because I'm like, okay, well, small businesses and art, let's figure out how to get them together because I don't see anybody using the sidewalks here. And then in the midst of that, met the people that ran the Spring Hill Farmers Market when it was on the front lawn of the children's home. And I'm like, well, I can bake, and there's no bakery here that does fresh bread. And if this is the South and we're all supposed to be like breaking bread and like having all that kind of stuff, okay, cool.
Fun.
So I'll just provide the bread.
Right.
And so that was the mentality of when it started, of bringing community together, and also just what are my skills? My skills are making really good food. And so that's kind of how it started. And then I announced it on the iHeart page and the Facebook page, and then it just exploded.
Yeah.
I had like 5,000 followers within the first week. And I'm like, this is
something here. There's a hole in the market.
I'm like, is this a fluke? Am I being punked right now? And then the first day of farmers market sold out. And I'm like, okay, I got to make double next week. Sold out. And I didn't really put my name out there as much as the business name. I'm like, okay, well, I know enough about CEO to know, okay, so we're going to call it Spring Hill Bakery so that if you look up bakeries in Spring Hill, I'm the first one that pops up.
Right.
So because a lot of people didn't remember my first name or know my first name, they just started calling me the bread lady.
Right.
And it stuck. And I'm
There
like,
you go.
okay, so how do we market this? I guess I'm the bread lady now, and I love it. So
Nice. So talk about how you got into baking. Did it start as a young child or teenager?
So, I mean, my mother and her 3 sisters and my grandma, they all baked. Every holiday was kind of like, not chopped necessarily, but sort of like a project one way thing where everyone just brings all the stops, all of the good stuff. We have like conversations about what the menu is going to be, who's bringing the potatoes, how is that going to match with this or whatever. So, and there's not a single time that anybody gets together, does not have a food magazine and open it up to be like, look at this article on cheese.
Right.
We're just obsessed with food.
Right.
So growing up in that, and just sort of the family togetherness and the bringing the food to the table and baking and learning how to do stuff, like grandma just believes anybody can do anything.
Right.
So if you show up and you're curious enough, she'll teach you how to do something. So that was just kind of the mentality that, yeah, we're all just going to do this. This is just a part of life.
Right.
So,
did you have jobs as well that kind of went along with that?
I worked for like 5.5 minutes at a Nothing Bundt Cakes, and that is the only time I've ever worked in food.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I like fully went into starting a bakery and not really knowing anything about food industry, and just said, okay, well, I'm ignorant to this, but how would I build it?
Yeah.
And how does it feel like it should be built? And like even some people, like they start going to like some kind of degree and then they're like, okay, well, this is actually kind of like crushing my creativity. How do I build this for what it feels like should be right? Fully ignorant of a lot of the rules, and then just sort of learned along the way.
Sounds like the music business.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes you just luck into it. You know, you can prepare all you want, but then you could be a Tommy Lee and just, make buco bucks.
There you go.
With no formal background.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people get into things that way. And it's almost like instead of being told, here's all the things that you can't do, it's like along the way you learn that you go, okay, well, why not?
Yeah.
Why can't we do it that way?
Right.
Because it's never been done before. Like, okay, like that's not going to stop.
You're
me.
like the Jack FM of bakeries.
Yeah, I guess sort of. But yeah, it was like, what do I want to build? What is a company that I want to go into and feel welcome? So like we didn't have Wi-Fi because I didn't want people on their computers. I wanted them to talk to each other.
Really?
Yeah. It was because we weren't a coffee shop that sold baked goods. We were a bakery that happened to sell drip coffee.
Right.
And, just watching the different connections of different people. Neighbors that lived 3 doors down from each other met for the first time in my bakery and then started coming together.
Wow.
And so it was just sort of this, we're building a community of people who just really like to eat. And the first 6 months that we were in our storefront, we had a customer from every single state and 6 continents. Wow. Which, like, that's insane. The only one was clearly the frozen one that nobody can probably be actually from there.
Right.
So, but it was...
So basically the first storefront was Ripavilla?
Yes, that was the first one. And that was really just a commercial kitchen. Right. And then worked our way into having, part of their gift shop was... Part of their gift shop sort of became our bakery. So they would come in for a tour, they would grab a baked good, but then we got really good at marketing to where they were coming for the baked goods and then realizing they could take a tour there. Oh. So, and then we started picking up commercial clients. So I'm going to burp.
Let it out, man.
It's stuck like right there. Okay, so
I've done that before, and I just keep it in. So
okay, you're welcome to. Whenever.
Right.
So, so the first December that I was in business, the governor's executive chef or the executive chef of the governor's mansion was like, "Hey, do you want to bake bread for our holiday parties?" What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What do you want me to make? Oh, can you make a bread that you've never made before? He didn't know that, obviously, but I said yes and then learned how to do it on the fly. Wow. And then he's like, these are the best I've ever had. And I'm like...
What'd you end up making?
They were brioche buns, and then he wanted the black and white seeds on the top. So kind of almost like a tuxedo look, like little slider buns.
Very cool.
And then from that, ended up getting into Ripavilla, and then... picked up, Homestead Manor and Scouts Pub.
Okay.
And so their executive chef said, hey, our chef just quit. It was right around Mother's Day. Can you make bread? Because we've already sold all these tickets for this picnic. Can you bring us some samples? Brought them some samples. Ended up making a ton of stuff for that. And then they said, okay, well, we're going to open Scouts. Do you want to design bread for our menu? So I did. And they're like, can you make this bread? I've never made it before. But okay, sure.
Was it one of those things you would tell them, yeah, I'm just going to figure it out?
Yeah, exactly that. It was, and the thing is it was almost like I've gotten into this habit of being like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say yes to this. And I need that adrenaline to help me learn how to do it. And it's amazing how much more I can think on my feet with that.
Right.
So.
Well, there you go. And that's how it's, what do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention. So necessity comes to your doorstep and off you go.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, jumping out of a plane and then, figuring out how to make a parachute on the way down kind of thing.
And where the Italian restaurant, I can't think of the name of it, where you ended up being was the downtown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we bought that building.
Right.
It was 925 square feet. And so it wasn't very big. It was like 450 in the back and whatever else in the front.
Yeah.
And that was our first actual storefront location where I wasn't sharing a space or anything like that. And every weekend we had to line out the door and around the building. And it was insane. And there was only so many people we could fit in the building.
Yeah.
Had 13 employees. We'd get up super duper early in the morning, made all of these cinnamon rolls. We'd open at 7:30, and then by 11:30 we were out of cinnamon rolls.
You're like Mignon Francois, man.
Yeah. Oh my God, she's the best human.
Yeah.
I love her so much.
Because when they started out, they had lines out the door, and they would literally put on their Facebook, "Hey, we're almost out.
Yeah,
come on, get them."
And they had a special sold out sign made for when they sold out. That is so cool. I love that so much.
Yeah, she's done amazing things, man.
She is absolutely one of my favorite humans ever.
She's amazing.
I love her.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. She's a definite business icon here in Middle Tennessee, and her star is rising.
Yes.
For sure. Have you read her book?
Not yet. My TBR list is probably about 100 books long.
Oh my gosh.
So I do definitely need to read it. I think with her, because I love the way that she talks so much, it'll probably be audiobook, and then I'll get her book, obviously, because we're going to support for sure. But anyway, I would like to hear it in her voice. Like a lot of audiobooks, I like to, or a lot of books, I want to listen to it from her perspective and her voice, so you get her inflection. And she's just such an amazing speaker, and there's just so much electricity when she shares things about,
Have you seen the white background video of her? Actually, that was one that I shot when I first met her. I believe it was in 08 or 09.
I don't think so. No, I'll look it up. 8
or 9 minutes long, back when I didn't understand brevity. But she had a story to tell. She got a great story, and I think it's got like 15,000 views. I mean, it needs a lot more, but I mean, what a story.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've seen her speak before and share her story, and she is dynamite.
Amazing,
just absolute dynamite.
Amazing. So you get into that new building, and then
So that's when we had all of the person from every state, and we had a big old school map on the wall, one of those pull down ones that we all used to have in our classroom. I wanted it to feel like nostalgia, so people felt like a kid when they were coming in there. Because if you feel like a kid when you walk into a bakery, you feel less guilty about whatever it is that you're about to consume with all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, no,
you're thinking casino, like, man.
Yeah, well, it's just like, I'm your 30-something-year-old grandma, and I'm here to make sure that you have something delicious today, and you get to feel special. So yeah, it was very, very much that, and yeah, there was a line out the door all the time. I mean, it was like 50 dozen cinnamon rolls any given Saturday. Like that was so much to do by hand, because we were doing everything by hand. And I think we kind of spread ourselves a little bit too thin. Like rather than just focusing on the cinnamon rolls, we had so many different products. But because bread takes a long time, we had to rotate everything.
Yeah.
And then going from that, I got to be on Today in Nashville, which was super fun. And they're like, "Are you sure you've never done live TV before?" And I'm like, "No, but can we do it again right now?" That was so much fun. I love it. But yeah, it's really fun to go and get other people excited about baked goods and feeling like a kid again, and just giving them that gift, because people don't get that really in everyday life.
There was a bakery. It was on North Street in Danbury, Connecticut, and you just kind of hit on something. When I was a kid, and my mother used to go in there. There was like one of these bisected types of retail establishments. It was almost like a courtyard going down the center. On one side, I think it was like a blind place, and then the other place was an Italian bakery.
Okay.
And the smell, gosh, I could still smell it.
Yeah.
You know? And you mentioned the school thing before. The old school was right across the street from you. Mm-hmm. So that was an old school.
It was, yeah. But it was, I don't know, that part is so special because there's no candle that smells as good as fresh bread or fresh baked goods. Like you can't duplicate it.
It's just like wraps you in comfort.
Yeah.
You know,
it really does. It's just like, it's like a security blanket of sorts. So, and I just love the smell of it, and I like making people feel special with it. And it was so interesting because, you know, especially since we did cinnamon rolls and so many people have cinnamon rolls on holiday mornings, we got to become a part of people's traditions. And then even people saying, hey, yeah, my kids, they said that they really wanted to work for you. Like if you were still in business at the time they were working age, they want to come work for you. Yeah. Like, that is cool. I want to be somebody that people want to work for. I want to be, and we had people that came from Northern California, from different culinary backgrounds that are like, we want to work for you. We want to learn whatever it is that you're doing. Like that makes me feel good. That's super validating.
Well, you're creating a culture.
Yeah.
You know, if people want to, row at the same ferocity in the same direction, I mean, that's, they're going to take a bullet for you.
Yeah.
That's the kind of culture you got to, it's tough to create, but you know.
It is, but I think that part was so important. Like even when we eventually shut down, because I burn out hard, like writing everyone like a handwritten thank you note of like, this is everything that you brought to the team. I love you so much for what you did for us and stuff. And have people just be like, yeah, you're probably one of the best bosses I've ever had. And I'm like, that makes me feel so good. And it wasn't even that I was trying to reach that. It was just like, how do I make you coming to work every single day feel good? Because I'm asking those girls, you know, we had most a staff of women really. How do I make them feel good about being here and working as hard as we have to work in order to get out as much as we have to get out of a less than 1,000 square foot building. And they were grateful. And I know there's a lot that I could have done differently, but I feel like I did so many things right in that it was like, yeah, I want that. I want that to continue.
It was the prequel.
Yes.
You know?
It was a heck of a prequel for sure.
Yeah, but it's leading to something, and we learn the lessons along the way. I mean, we just talked about this yesterday on another recording about learning the hard way. And as much as you don't want to learn the hard way, we're still going to find out the hard way on some aspect.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, the thing is that way the lesson sticks. The lesson sticks better.
You feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's there's just something about it that it resonates with you, and you can dissect what you did wrong because it's very specific to your circumstances. So how do you fix it now?
Right.
And school can't teach you that. They can't teach you in the moment stuff. I mean, they can give you like general things where you like read a study or what have you, but it's going to be totally different than like you being in the moment, being like, oh yeah, I messed up. But then it also teaches you humility too, to where you can say, okay, yeah, I messed up in this way. So how do I grow? How do I get better so that I can do better? Right.
Because I mean, that's, and it led up to, you had everything rolling, and it's like, the restaurant business, and I would say probably a bakery, are probably one of the toughest businesses to run. Yeah. Because
I saw something that said that was like the biggest risk, I think, is the food industry, because you never know.
Right.
Like you never know when you get into it unless you build it to grassroots like we did, where by the time we got into our kitchen, we already had a following. Yeah. So they were just following us around town until we could land somewhere.
Right.
But there's so many different factors, like, you know, butter has more than doubled in cost, and I mean we're a butter
heavy type of
heavy bakery, because it has to taste like grandma made it. Otherwise, what are you doing? So it was very, I don't know. So there's so much that is at risk for it, but at the same time, it's like if you have a really big passion for it, you have the right team behind you doing it, and you have buy-in from customers, you're unstoppable, especially if you're feeding every single avenue of all of those things.
It's just scaling at that point.
It is, right. So that's kind of the goal.
Yeah. So, I mean, with what you're doing, you were talking about the bakery and it being a difficult business. You see, people like, Nellie's Pizzeria, they built that business not off, dare I say, the coattails of the father, but I mean, they took that recipe and started doing it down here, and they have a mega successful business doing what they're doing.
They do, and it's good.
It is good.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's as close to New York pizza you're going to get, trust me. But there's a lot. You ever read the E-Myth?
I've read pieces and parts of it. I have this lovely little thing called ADHD, which means that I'm really good at starting stuff.
Are you better at reading or listening to books?
I think it depends. I really do like reading, but I have this habit where I'm actually mid-book in about 14 or 15 books. And each, I see books sort of as like food.
Yeah.
So I'm in the mood for this, so I'm going to read a few chapters in this. And then I feel in the mood for this, I'm going to feed my inner child with like a kid's Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing or something like that. And sort of like, which I mean.
Forgot about that book.
Yeah, but like different things like that. So you're exercising different parts of your brain. But I have read a lot of that. And it does start out with a character named Sarah who started a bakery and then spread herself too thin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that feels super convicting. Thanks.
The entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician.
Yeah.
The three personalities.
Yeah. So, and I did learn a lot from that as far as like not building my team correctly, having a partner that wasn't looking out for my personal best interest, but the business best interest. And when you kind of don't have that personal of somebody being like, you're working yourself too hard, you need to step back because you're going to crash and burn.
Yeah.
And then not being fiercely protective of that. Because especially like, if you paint, and a lot of times you get so close to the painting, all you can see is brushstrokes. You can't see the big picture anymore. So you're not fully aware of your full surroundings. So I did end up crashing and burning, ending up in the emergency room. The doctor's like, if you keep going, you're going to die. And I'm like, this is not worth dying for. I have a kid. I don't want to give myself to this because I feel like I'm putting her last. I'm putting my quality of life last. I can't remember the last time I worked on a hobby outside of the bakery. And so my quality of life was in the dump, basically. And I didn't have a full life anymore because I was so
married to the bakery.
So much so. Yeah. So it was... it was really hard to say no to because I'm like, does this mean I can't be the bread lady anymore? So you kind of have that whole like identity crisis thing. And it's like, no, those two things are separate from each other.
Right.
You just because you are, the thing, separating the creator from the created, the thing that you created. Because I felt that I was so synonymous with my business that that if it ended, I had to end too.
Right.
And that wasn't true. So that was something that I had to learn kind of in the moment of everything.
But leading up to that event, what did it feel like? Was it a week out that you were like, something's off?
It was one of those, it was like the frog in the boiling water.
Right.
Thing.
You just don't know.
It just got hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. Right. And, there was a series of things where like an oven broke. And then I had chronic bronchitis from the amount of flour that was in the air. Around the holidays, I was sleeping maybe 2 hours a night and then working stretches of close to 24 hours. And so I got sick.
Yeah.
Had pneumonia. Had it for Thanksgiving, had it for Christmas. It wasn't contagious. It was just I was dealing with a lot of internal stuff. And so I broke a rib from coughing too much. Wow. And then I was still going to work trying to roll out cinnamon rolls with a broken rib.
Huh.
And then a month and a half later, I fell down a flight of stairs.
Oh my gosh.
And I was still going to work.
Yeah.
And I was still pushing as hard as I was before. It's just now I'm limping and I can't roll like I used to. Got in a car accident. My hands went numb.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like so many things like back to back to back to back.
It's like everything was telling you to slow down.
Yeah, but I wasn't taking the hint.
Right.
So, about a week before I started having a migraine, which that was really common for me to just get them and then just work through them. Wasn't eating properly, that kind of stuff. The carafe of coffee, I would make one for my staff and then I would make one for me.
Oh gosh.
To push through. And I'm like not eating, I'm just drinking coffee, just like high caffeine stuff.
So the coffee's just that's your water intake.
Pretty much.
You weren't drinking straight water, nothing.
No.
Wow.
So went home early one day because the headache was really bad and I was feeling kind of delirious. Woke up the next morning, 2:00, whatever. I was so incoherent that I forgot I was brushing my teeth while I had my toothbrush in my mouth.
Oh my gosh.
I don't remember driving to work.
Wow.
And it was like not a safe trip. And then
And you live like right around the corner from where I live.
Yeah.
And it's not a short drive. I mean, it is a short drive, but
Well, we were living out on the other side of town where it was literally a straight shot to the bakery. It was like maybe 5 minutes. So it was close, but it was still not to not be all there and to be driving. That's like super unsafe. Right. So I got to work. I had to sit out front while my staff was working because we had a full staff of people in the back. And I was just like, I have to take a knee. I can't do this. And then finished for the last hour before open because we needed to push to get all of those rolls out. And then, like I would turn my head if someone called my name and I would lose my balance as I turned my head.
Like vertigo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But just almost like my knees were buckling, like I was going to black out kind of thing.
Wow.
And, it was not good. So my staff is like, she's not okay. They sat down, they started feeding me water, doing the follow my finger thing, like all that kind of stuff. And they're like, she needs to go to the hospital.
Wow.
And then walked into the lobby and, X was parking the car and I walked up to the front. I forgot why I was there. I said, I don't know why I'm here, but I think my brain's broken.
Wow.
And immediately burst into tears.
I bet.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Super scary.
Huh.
So that was like, to hear the doctors say, hey, your blood pressure's like, they like did scans and all that other kind of stuff or whatever. And they're like, you're like this close from like a heart attack or a stroke, like so close. And I'm like, I'm 38.
Yeah.
That's not old enough to be dealing with a lot of that stuff. So they gave me the migraine cocktail. I think I slept for 4 hours. And by the time I left, my blood pressure was textbook perfect.
Oh, nice.
100% of your stress is work related.
Wow. And all the other things that kind of played into it.
Yeah. So just all of the different things and feeling like you can't let people down and not eating right, not sleeping right, not doing any of these things, but then also not having that personal support system to go and or to just be able to be okay with everything. Like it was too late. By the time I had taken like a vacation of just like a week, I slept for a whole week. I would get off of work on Saturdays. I would go home, think I was going to take half an hour nap, and I would wake up 12 hours later.
Wow.
Eat something, go back to sleep for another 8. That's insane.
I learned of this recent concept called sleep debt.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
And the less sleep you get, it's like putting money on a credit card.
Yeah.
You got to pay it back.
For real. And
it's a real thing.
I mean, after we closed that, like I wrote the book, we did a whole bunch of other stuff.
Close down. Like, what else can I do? Well, let's write a book.
Right. Well, I started teaching baking classes because I felt guilty that now people weren't going to have these cinnamon rolls for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
But I remember you told the story.
Yeah.
And then, that was a very good strategy because I don't think anybody blamed you, No. But, pivoting into that part of your life, people understood.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is we didn't close because we didn't have money walking in the door. People were walking in the door, thrusting money at us, being like, make me more cinnamon rolls, even when we were out.
Wow.
And I'm like, I ran out of ingredients. I can't make any more today. Like I have to drive an hour and a half just to go get it. It's going to be another 3 hours, and then it's going to be after 2. It's not going to work. Sorry, order them ahead of time. You can have them next Saturday.
Right.
And it's like there's only so much you can do in a 450 square foot kitchen with a staff of however many that were doing them. So it was just it was not a lack of financial success. It was a lack of being able to create a healthy life so that I could continue to pour into my business because I was running on not even fumes at that point. I don't even know what I was running on. It was just spite of like, I'm not going to fail. Did
you have like a goal in mind that you were striving towards?
I think at that point, like I had a lot of ideas. I had an idea of franchising just the cinnamon rolls as a concept. Mm-hmm. And then also just sort of being the neighborhood bakery where everything in-house is made from scratch. We did not have a freezer. And we was just like, I was so set on just being that and having the legacy that we were the first and only 100% artisan bakery in the city of Spring Hill. And just sort of have the connection of people. Like that was super important. I never got to get the franchise thing off the ground just because I ran out of everything.
Right.
But the cinnamon rolls are really what sold.
Right.
And then, we had different competition with other people who had opened bakeries since then. And so they started like skimming off some of our marketing and stuff. And so I got really competitive, which is how the OMG cinnamon roll started.
Mm-hmm.
They can take our marketing, but what I have is the creativity to make new stuff.
Right.
So so we started doing the OMG rolls, which was like a s'mores cinnamon roll, pineapple upside down cinnamon roll, apple pie. We did one that was sort of like a Samoa Girl Scout cookie. Like we just took it to the top and just sort of started running. And I'm like, actually, this could work as a standalone concept of just choose your own adventure cinnamon rolls, kind of like a Cold Stone Creamery, but like this. So that was a concept that was sort of in there. It's just I never got to do it.
Right.
So.
Right. I mean, that level of burnout.
Oh yeah. Like,
it's surprising you want to go back for more, because I remember doing that with, not to that level, but I got on a fitness bent when I was 23, 24, and I just lived it every day, made my meals, dropped like 60 pounds. I had a six pack, all that stuff. Yeah. And then we moved to Vegas. I'm like, I don't want to ever look at another package of cottage cheese ever again.
Yeah. Well, you get burned out on it because it's just, but I think the thing is because it was built the way it was before. It was not built for success. It was succeeding.
Yeah.
But I was not being successful in compartmentalizing work from life. And I didn't have the support team for me personally to be able to show up every single day.
You were constantly immersed in it.
Right. And so as the leader, I needed to tap out. I just needed to be like, I have to be done with this. But at the same time, like the team was the part that was super important. Like I couldn't go work an 18-hour day and then go home and help with homework, do laundry, clean a house, all of those other things. Like I couldn't do everything.
Yeah.
And so personal life took a dive. And then also at some point my health kind of did that. Like for 2022, my gift to myself, I slept. The whole year.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
you went on hiatus for sure.
Yeah. So I could say calling a gap year, but a lot of 2021, especially after the book came out, because I was you couldn't ask me what I wanted for dinner without me getting overwhelmed. I've just like decision fatigue. Like, just feed me something that's edible and not seafood and I'll be fine. So
not a big seafood fan, huh?
It's to the point where my doctor's like, you can pretty much call it an allergy, the fact that you have such an violent involuntary, even to the smell of it. That was the one thing that stopped me from going to culinary school is I cannot stomach even the smell of fish.
So beach vacations are out for you.
It's not during low tide, for sure.
Stay away from the wharf.
All seafood smells like low tide to me. So
yeah, I get that. I'm not a huge seafood fan, but I can tolerate it.
Yeah. But if you were to be like, oh, here we have bison, emu, something like that. If you throw me something weird, I'd be like, yeah, I'll try that.
Yeah.
It's just as long as it didn't live in the water. No alien swimmy things.
Right.
We're good.
Alien swimmy things. That's funny. So here you are. You're coming out from. Did you take I know that talk about your relationship if you want. Going into that aspect of it if you want.
I mean, we were business partners first.
Yeah.
I think that we were that being spouses was always backburnered.
That's tough, man. Yeah.
There's no dates.
Right.
Because every single time we would go somewhere, it was talking about whatever it is that the business needed.
Right.
I think we were misaligned because we were polar opposites. Any sort of personality test that we could ever take, we didn't have anything in common.
Right.
Which is really hard. It's you need something in common, right? Yeah. So the bakery became the common denominator because he was doing business stuff. I had the creative ideas. And so it sort of worked as far as that was concerned, but everything else was just sort of non-existent. We were business partners at home, and we just at work, and then we just happened to share a mortgage and a bed. And so at some point it was like, we're too different. We're both miserable. Neither of us is getting what we want.
Right.
So we just didn't like each other anymore.
Right.
And so we ended it. So it was earlier this year we got divorced. He moved back to the West Coast. And because the bakery was my baby, I started it and everything. I still have I have all of the pieces and parts to be able to rebuild.
Right.
I just needed to fully clear the deck.
Did you give yourself a gift? in a way.
Divorce was the gift.
Well, I mean, after that happens, you ever hear the George Strait song, She Let Herself Go? Mm-hmm. And, it basically talks from the woman. You'd think that it's about, well, she let herself go. No, she let herself go down to the beach for the first time. She took herself on a singles cruise. She let herself go to this thing. That's the whole twist of the song.
Oh, okay. I mean, I've definitely gotten a lot more colorful.
Right.
Sleep is definitely there. I cut off all my hair and dyed it pink. Like, that's a pretty cool gift to just we're totally changing everything up.
You're doing you.
I really am. And I think because I had a kid so young, I sort of went from being a kid into being a parent role and not having those self-discovery years. So a lot of people would call that a midlife crisis. It's just that I'm not going off the deep end. Yes, I've gotten a lot more tattoos since then as well.
Right.
But that's just sort of I would have done that had I had the freedom to do that sooner.
Right.
So now I'm learning a lot about myself. Things I'm into, what I'm attracted to, different ways that I want to self-express, and then getting back to the point to where baking is play again, and getting back into hobbies and stuff like that. Like, I play music. I can play, if I can find the scale on an instrument, I can play it. So I bought myself an accordion to teach myself how to play.
You got to do videos on that.
TikToks. There is, I'm not very good, but I do have a little child's one I can play music on. I can play La Vie en Rose, which is pretty advanced for a little squeeze box kind of thing. And knitting, crocheting, painting, sewing, all of these things, furniture refinishing. I went to school for art. So I consider myself an artist first and then everything else second.
Right.
But at the same time, as an artist or as someone who is really creative, I love building stuff. So I'm getting back into building things, but building it how I would want to see it built.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Have you discovered anything big that you want to do since you're kind of going through this process?
Well, yes. And it feels weird to just sort of say it at this point because it's and this is the other thing, kind of with the restaurants and saying yes and sort of building it back up. I've had the yearning to reopen the bakery as a cinnamon roll only concept.
Right.
To streamline and have it be a choose your own adventure. See how far I can take OMG cinnamon rolls. Can it be a franchise? Can I be the boss that makes work fun for everybody, and then also still be able to serve all of those customers who still fill my inbox with, are you sure you're not doing cinnamon rolls again this Thanksgiving? We miss you being a part of our holidays.
Wow.
And I did someone their daughter got married a couple of weekends ago, and she said it's one of my daughter's favorite foods. We would love to surprise her for that for her wedding morning.
Do you get people that are okay, how much will it take?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Name your price. I want them.
$1 million. Okay, get real. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe not necessarily that, but at the same time, it's to be able to build that team of people and to be able to make it to where work is fun for all of those people. Because I miss the team. I miss the people. I miss being able to do fun things with them and sort of be that leader and be encouraging, that even if they don't stay with me, I mean, I want to build something that they want to stay with for long term, but what are all of the problems that, especially women deal with going into the workforce or going back into the workforce, and childcare and all of this stuff, and how do we have mental health be a really big part of it? Because that's super important to me now.
Yeah.
Because I lived it. I lived the total and complete burnout. So how do I make it to where it's successful for me, but then it's also successful for anybody who joins my team, joins my cinnamon roll army?
Right.
So
I mean, a lot of that, even going back to the E-myth, the reason why Sarah in the book had issues is the systems and processes.
Yes.
And that's what the whole book is pretty much about.
Yeah.
And how an entrepreneur looks at the systems and processes and finds the manager that can manage them. And then the technician is the person who says, well, why should I make all the money for the owner? I can do this on my own. But what they end up doing is creating a job that they own.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I like to think of it like Monsters, Inc., which if you're familiar with the movie, it is about an energy crisis, and you have this company where their job is to create energy through scream. you have I always think it's interesting because the CEO's name was Water Noose, water being something that flows, noose being something that constricts. And he was willing to go toward he was willing to do corrupt stuff in order to get done what he needed to get done.
Right.
But when you look at what happened with the kids, the monsters were scaring the kids. It was negative. And
it's about scaring.
It was about scaring, right. And so it's sort of torturing children to get the thing that you need. And then through, the kid coming through the portal and them realizing that the Sully and Mike Wazowski, we're representing today, but they discovered that laughter and joy is so much more 10 times more powerful than scream is.
Yeah.
So at the last scene of the movie, you see all of the sidekicks or the assistants, now they get an opportunity.
Because they were funny.
Yeah, they were funny. They get an opportunity to show what they're good at.
Right.
So everyone on the team got to participate in a better way. And then just the difference in the energy in the room, everyone was happy. There were balloons, there was singing, there was juggling, there was all this stuff. And everyone was joyful. The kids were happy. They were getting happy memories. And so the end user of the people getting the energy, they were getting a better quality product.
Right.
Where they were getting where they were sourcing from, these kids, they were happier. The product was better. It was higher quality. And then everyone that worked at the factory, they were also having a better experience because their workday was better.
Yeah.
So to be the leader of something like that, because Sully got to be, I think he was the CEO in that, but he got to lead this. He was definitely a leader in this to have everyone be better. He was lavish with high fives for everyone on his team.
And he also had to humble himself because he was no longer the rock star.
Right, right. But he just, it was the whole thing was very much like, okay, how does everyone win?
Yeah.
And I want to lead something like that. That's what I want my business to be.
And the funny thing is, you paint Monsters, Inc. as a business movie. I never even thought about it that way.
Yeah.
What an observation.
So it just, that I guess through the lens of that's just sort of how I see it. And my dad always has a thing. He's obsessed with Snow White and the whole whistle while you work thing. So it's sort of taking that, we're doing the Pixar version of it where, everyone is just sort of, you're winning and you don't have to just squeeze everybody for all of their worth. And then everyone goes home and they're just sleeping in, it's drudgery to go to work. It's no, we get to go have fun today.
Yeah.
And then also accomplish the thing, but now we're accomplishing the thing better.
Right.
And everyone on staff is happy. The customers that are coming in are happy. The people that are on they're on the front line with those customers, they're happy because they're fulfilled.
Yeah.
They get paid enough to live a living wage. Everyone, the women that are within the
The organization.
within the organization and everything like that. All of their needs are met. Yes.
Yeah, but she was kind of happier. Maybe.
Roz. Well, she was undercover. She was the head of the CIA.
That's right.
But she totally wasn't either. She was just, meh.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? I love Roz.
Wazowski.
Yeah, you didn't fill out your paperwork last night. So, but it's okay. So how do we make it better for everybody? How do we?
A bakery in its nature should be fun.
It should. It should. But the thing is, it's really hard work. Getting up super early and you gotta hustle and get everything done. So how do we streamline it to where? I know that everyone that's going to work for me is going to have to put in a lot of effort, but how do we make it better for them? Because it is tiring, but there's a good tire. There's that good end of the day accomplishment feeling. Yeah, I did this. High fives. I want to be the one that's lavish with high fives, but also lavish with praise, lavish with, making sure that everyone on my staff is happy. I don't have to hoard the wealth. I can share it with everyone because we all win together. Yeah. And I want to win together. I want people to want to be a part of something like that and have kids that are, teenagers being when I'm old enough to work there, I want to work for spring or, for OMG cinnamon rolls or whatever we're going to call it. So
it's like having the good teachers versus the bad teachers, right?
Yeah.
The bad teachers shape us in a way that we know that's how we don't want to be.
Yeah.
And the good teachers will always remember for a lifetime. The bad teachers eventually fade. Same thing with bosses and managers that we've worked for. I mean, I always remember all the good managers. And a lot of the bad ones, I'm I have a tendency to forget about the bad things that happened to me and what people have done to me. And I've done things to people too. I'm not completely at loss of fault. Yep. But my wife is there to remind me, oh yeah, remember they did that? I'm oh yeah, I forgot about that. But that's just how I'm built.
Yeah.
So a lot of the old bad managers fade out of my memory. The good ones stick around because I have a tendency to remember the positivity.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting though, because I do remember, like you said, bad teachers. My brain immediately went to one specific teacher that I had.
Wow.
And then through therapy and stuff, all of the stuff that she would tell me that I wasn't good enough at this or that or whatever, that sort of became a part of that like broken record thought.
What did that do for you though, for a teacher telling you that? Did you want to prove her wrong?
I mean, I did, but I was also the really stubborn child that when she told me that, I told her she was a bad teacher. So,
did she though? You think maybe she knew what she was doing by doing that?
I've learned actually about her past since then.
Really?
And so I know she was going through a lot of really hard stuff. I was just sort of the scapegoat in that situation.
Oh, okay.
But then I also had another teacher in high school. He's my art teacher, and he had a very much like bet you can't, because he knew that I like proving people wrong. He just made it fun,
Right.
and he was a lot more encouraging.
Nod, wink, wink.
Yeah, yeah. So I went a lot further because he was overall positive, as opposed to this lord and leader that was just trying to like beat you down,
Right.
And take everything that you're worth, and then throughout the entire process be like, oh well, you're not good enough or whatever. And as somebody who was a highly sensitive child, I took a lot of offense to that. But I also, when you're that young, when you're 10, 11, 12, sometimes you just accept whatever they say about you. And then that becomes a part of your self-limiting thoughts. And now you're sitting there thinking, I can't do this because I was told I couldn't do this. I'm not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And then you have to overcome that,
And it's something I share with a lot of people. My, I guess, success in the car business didn't happen until I switched from Honda to Mercedes. Mercedes was never on my radar. I never thought I'd be a Mercedes guy, because I told myself, well, I've been to those dealerships. The company we work for owns Porsche, Mercedes, BMW, and all those different dealerships. I've been there, and I've seen these people. They're different from me. And I had that self-limiting belief that, well, I'll just do Honda. That's what I'm made for, And then somebody who didn't know me from Adam, one of my customers, told me, dude, you can totally do it. I'm experiencing it now. I was in the business at one time. You need to sell Highline. And I go, okay, my wife, my brother, my mother, my kids could tell me till they're blue in the face, you can do it. I wouldn't believe them because it's bias. And this guy who didn't know me, you could totally do it. He sold me on it. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? You're right. Let me give it a shot.
Yeah.
And it was a great decision.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's so many people out there that are stuck. And, there's almost like seasons in life, right? From 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, so on and so forth. At 20, we're coming out of high school, getting our life started with all these expectations. 20 to 40 is typically one of the worst parts of people's lives because they're meeting everybody else's expectations. They're set on paths that maybe they didn't get to self-explore. They're not self-aware. They weren't allowed to try things and fail. I tell my kids all the time, look, your 20s are for failing.
Yes.
Falling in the mud, skinning your knees, but you got to get back up.
Yeah. Find
out who you are and then go do it. And you'll probably find out who that is by the time you're 25, 26. You need to hear me when I tell you that's okay. And then go dominate what it is that you're born to do.
Yeah.
All right. My son used to get mad at me because he'd always thought, well, you want me to play drums because you played drums. I said, no, that's not it, buddy. You're great at drums. You really are. You're an amazing drummer.
Yeah.
You're an amazing musician. I don't want you to play drum. If you don't want to play it, don't play them.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, you are good at this. Don't do it because you think I want you to do it. I want you to do it because you want to do it. If you want to go play guitar, saxophone, whatever, piano, knock yourself out.
And even if they don't want to be in music and they want to go do something else, I could totally do that too. But yeah, but my kid's 18. She lives on the West Coast now, and she's taken over the world. But it's one of those things that you want to do it, go do it. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody, and it doesn't hurt you.
And it's moral and ethical. And
yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those things that you look at, my daughter going into college now, she came home and I set some ground rules. I said, we're not going into debt for college. That ain't happening. All right. I'm not going to allow it to happen for you or for me. All right. We're basically playing catch up right now financially. So you don't have to take care of us financially later on.
Yeah.
We're going to hopefully remove that burden. Yeah. But when we move forward with this, if it's not a scholarship and you have basically a full ride, we'll figure something else out. It's okay. But if you do understand why you're going, you don't be forced into picking a major or being corralled, right?
Yeah.
You don't know who you are yet.
Yeah.
If you want to go for music and that's your thing, then get a musical degree. Well, who cares? You got a piece of paper at the end of 4 years. I got a degree. You can apply it to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
If not that, then go for communications.
Yeah.
But if you figure out, hey, this really stirs my soul, then you figure it out. But you're not going to know until that happens.
Yeah.
It's a revelation of sorts.
Yeah. And you gotta, it's like you gotta give them enough room to fail. You have to give yourself enough room to fail without being like, okay, if I do, everything's just going to go up in flames and then like everything's over.
But you and I both know people that are, in our age range. You're I think getting out of that second season into your third, and now you've poured the foundations, the footers, the foundations, probably got the sticks up, right? We're going to start laying some flooring and roughing in electrical and stuff like that. You're at that point of this, right? Yeah. You know how to do it now.
Trial and error, yes. I know what I don't want to do,
right,
which is also really super important as well. Just to, like, I needed to learn all of those things so that as we're building this next thing, it can be built bigger, better, stronger, and with the wisdom that I've gained through all of the mistakes.
Totally.
So I'm very excited about that part.
Is there any concrete plan moving forward that you want to scoop here? Or
I mean, I am sort of in the team building mode right now, but I'm looking at what it would take to have just the cinnamon roll part of my business move forward. And have that grow that into possibly a franchise model.
Do you have a facility in mind or anything? I'm
at the very beginning stages. Like I said before, I really like jumping out of the plane and then building it on the way down kind of thing.
Build the parachute as we jump out.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So it's similar to the way that I did with a lot of the, learned on the fly how to do stuff and things like that. The thing is, I do have the framework of the business. I do have the familiarity of that. And I do also have the market buy-in from a lot of the customers because they're still there. Yeah. They're still asking me for things.
Yeah.
And so to build this and finding different people that are coming out of the woodwork, someone I know is a consultant for franchises. I'm like, I don't know how to do that stuff, but somebody else I know does. They can be a part of my team or at the very least a mentor.
Right.
So, finding the right investors, finding the right place to put this and have it be something that I can duplicate and then bring other people into the cinnamon roll army and build this really cool team of people and have them be able to go into their communities and then also be able to spread that joy, that cheer, sell people cinnamon rolls and just have everyone just feel like they're really doing something.
Who here locally do you kind of admire that does, you got Frank Georgialos over at Grecian Pizza and
Mignon for sure.
Yeah.
She's been a really like a big person. Nellie's has always done like a really super good job. Even Mila down in Colombia, she has Mama Mila's. Actually, no, I've known her since she was 16. So like we've sort of, she's been in that sort of industry as well.
Have you met Mignon before? Have you talked to her?
Yeah, I got to see her. She did a local speaking engagement in Spring Hill.
Okay.
And I wrote a book right after I closed the bakery. She helped me, or she had the connection to be able to, pitch a book idea.
That's cool.
Book.
That's cool.
So I'm not done writing books.
Right. I'm telling you, I think you got a story in you.
So for this, for sure, I have a children's book series that I'm working on. Just the ideas are just flowing. I've got poetry. I have other stuff, which I guess is sort of like it's not a public blog yet, but it's one of those. It's sort of a processing through a lot of things. I really just like storytelling.
Right.
But then as far as this journey, taking notes, keeping all of the photos from like everything, and being able to do like some kind of autobiography, memoir kind of thing. Yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
It's very much like the Odyssey, but a lot less mythology in that.
Well, there's an inspirational aspect to it.
Yeah.
Speaking career.
Yeah, that would be so much fun.
But you got to make that business run on its own, man. You got to be able to take yourself out of it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the tough part.
And I mean,
what do you think about all these business coaches that are like, all you got to do is this?
It's this simple and all that kind of stuff.
The
And
gurus.
it's like there's nuance. And it's interesting because there's something that I saw about how even like psychologists and therapists, they hate the life coaches because they don't have the degree to be able to do any of that stuff. But then it's also like, it's just topical. It's just, and how many times can you see the same thing copy and pasted, like book for book or whatever, and be like, none of that's new.
Yeah.
But then also it's like, you're saying this, but you don't have to actually put in any of the elbow grease, or you're not going to put in any of the elbow grease. So it's just lip service.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay someone $7,000 a month for lip service.
Right.
You're going to help, you're not going to help.
Right.
So
there's a lot of gurus and coaches out there. That's all they live to do is speak in front of people.
Yeah.
They're not really helping.
But I mean, there's one thing to like be inspirational and to like how and be able to give people that kind of fuel to do it. But then there's also the like, if it's not actually going to help, or if it's just sort of like, well, I mean, I didn't need to pay you that much for that. Like, it's not helpful.
Yeah. Why am I paying you again?
Yeah. Why? Yeah. Why?
Well, that's awesome, man. I think that you definitely got another book, especially the story of everything that's happened.
Yeah, so far. That's like part 1.
Yeah. Probably when you get to your 50s, you'll be, because that's the thing, is that a lot of, getting back to the business coaches, they just don't have the license. They don't have the scars, the battle scars, right?
I mean, some of them do if they've like started some business stuff or whatever, but at the same time, it's also like they don't understand how every industry is run.
Right.
They're good at what they do, and they've trial and errored a certain way. So they may have like some nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the overall thing, or specifically this, it's like, okay, I will take your advice, but if I feel like that doesn't apply, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Or if I, what have you, because you kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of them out there that, they're just there to get your dollar.
Yes.
So, I mean, you got a guy like Vaynerchuk, who I'm a huge proponent and fan of.
Yeah.
He gives it all away.
Yeah.
And he has no interest in trying to monetize what he knows. And plus, he didn't do it until he knew something.
Yeah.
You know?
But he trial and errored things too. So it's like, okay, what are your successes and your failures, and what of that can you impart upon me, versus just flippantly saying, well, just go and do it.
Right.
You can accomplish anything in 3 months. It's like, yeah, I probably could, but like, is that realistic? And just do this and this and have it just be this simple.
Well, buddy, if I ever see you like Instagram posts with like, beds full of cash and Lambos and all that stuff, we're going to have a talk.
No, it's probably going to be like books and cats and like weird antiques.
Cinnamon rolls spread around the room.
I mean, for one of my marketing things that I did, one of the people that I worked with, she's a photographer. We decided to do a maternity shoot, except instead of the baby, we had bread. It was hilarious. It was
That's
so
funny.
good. But I like guerrilla marketing like that, but definitely none of the look at all of the things I've accomplished, because I don't need.
Yeah. Have you seen my private jet?
Right. I don't care. What are you doing for other people to make other people's lives better? You bought that jet. You could have fed, however many people with that. The elitism is so not who I am. I would love a house out in the country and be like, I have a miniature cow. That would be the most exciting thing for me, and so I like have the things that I like, but it's not to show off to other people. It's that I earned this for me. Like I have 2 cars that I want in my life. One is a 1950 Pontiac Catalina, and they're so beautiful, but like the scarf, the glasses, drive to go get all your groceries and that kind of stuff. And I need like an old, like 60s to 80s Ford or Chevy pickup truck. Rust bucket.
The old school.
Yeah, they're indestructible. But yeah, I just throw on a ball cap and just go for a drive.
Yeah.
Go pick up something cool on the side of the road.
And that's the other thing for like even my kids and those who are in their, getting out of high school, even getting out of college, you need to identify not only your self-awareness, but what does success look like to you?
Yeah.
It's subjective.
Yeah.
It really is.
And it's quality of life. It's all of those things, and
it could all be gone tomorrow, guys.
Yeah. So painting what it is how is your life going to be better with whatever it is that you build, and not for the purpose of showing off to somebody else, because I don't need to prove anything to anybody.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what a lot of elite things are, is just proving to other people. I don't need you to tell me I'm awesome because I have a Porsche.
You say it the right way.
I know but the thing is, I said it sarcastically because I think when you say Porsche, you sound like a douche. But so I say Porsche. I did, because it also ends in an E.
Right.
So
CHE.
Yeah.
Well, their Porsche is a friend of mine is a huge fan of them. He owns one and everything. He always he's so particular about how it's said. And I'm like, hey, how's your Porsche? He's like, Porsche.
It just sounds worse when you say it with the at the end. I know it's correct, but I will always say Porsche.
Right. Just to get under people's skin.
And yes.
Sure.
Why not?
Let's go there.
Why not?
Well, there you go. Looking forward to everything that you're going to be doing. And I'm sure you're going to make some announcements here shortly.
Yeah. Right. At this point, really, this is sort of, I guess, the biggest announcement thing that I have done really with everything. But
I appreciate that.
I mean, we're definitely within, or I'm definitely in the beginning stages of starting to build things up. And so bringing in the right people to build that team. That's really the problem or the challenge is that.
And you're certainly going to, and the biggest challenge I think you're going to have, any business owner has, is building a positive, productive culture.
Yeah.
You've already got the ideas, man. Yeah. You've already got the foundation laid. I think it's, there's a company I work with, the Mercedes dealer here locally, that they're all about culture. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the first dealership group that I've seen in a long time that just dominates their culture. They're all about their quiver of arrows and hiring the right people and putting them where they belong. And they got a CEO that will go out of his way to take care of people when he can, I mean, that makes a big difference.
Exactly. That's what I want to build. And that's what I want to be able to invite people, players in to be able to do their thing and just sort of be the executive producer. What are you good at? What are your strengths? Come in, be a part of this team.
You're the maestro.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, make sure you pay attention because she's going to be doing big things, and we're glad to have you back engaging and doing your thing again on your terms and your way. And we look forward to everything. I would say, where do we find and follow you? But, do we have that established yet?
Right now I have, springhillcreative.com, breadladie'skitchen.com, because I'm still, as I'm able to teach classes on baking, I'm still doing that because you teach people how to fish. They can, feed themselves and that kind of thing. So, breadladie'skitchen.com. I'm on Instagram at Bread Ladies Kitchen, at Spring Hill Creative. And I guess those are going to probably be the two places to announce sort of all of those things. My cookbook's also available on my website if people want to bake all of this stuff at home, if they can't wait and they just want to bake stuff. So I guess that's the best thing. If you join the mailing list, I'm getting better at mailing things out now that I have things to say again. And
I can't believe we didn't mention this, but your claim to fame is that the iconoclastic Martha Stewart has your book.
Yes, I did send it to her, but I did not expect to see it. And I'm sure she gets free stuff all the time.
Right.
So she was doing a podcast with somebody in her library. I know way too much about this woman, but in her Bedford, New York, her compound, I guess, for lack of a better term, she has, I think, a 17th or 18th century home. And it is, 2,000 square feet, and it is her library.
Yeah.
So she was doing a podcast. And in between her and her guest, sitting on the top of the stack of books, is my cookbook.
Nice.
Holy crap. I was in the car just screaming when I saw this picture, blew it up because it was a video. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, I got to check to see if maybe she has it or not. Took a screenshot of it, blew it up. There it was. You got to
basically, reach out to her and blow her up and see if she'll engage.
Blow her up?
Yeah.
She doesn't need any more blowing up every week. She's such an icon. But
I mean, blow her up and get her attention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I sent the book, I wrote it basically a thank you letter to her of just the inspiration of the impact that she's had on my family, because my mother was obsessed with her. Every holiday was a Martha Stewart holiday.
Right.
And then I have a side-by-side picture somewhere of her holding a plate of food and then me holding a plate of food. When I went on Today in Nashville, you put them side by side. We're both wearing a blue shirt with similar haircuts. It's crazy, with these parallels of everything.
Wow.
Her first book that came out, Entertaining, came out in 1982. I was born in 1982.
Wow.
So it was there's a lot of parallels. So
maybe she'll be your mentor. Oh my goodness.
That would be.
Or an investor.
I mean, I didn't think to dream that big, but now I am.
Why not?
So, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
All you have to do is ask, right?
The
answer's no if you don't.
It's exactly what I say all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
always ask.
And that was the thing before, is I don't ever felt like I asked for enough. So even this right now, it's like like an invitation, kind of treating this like an invitation to be like, do you want to join the Cinnamon Roll Army? We're doing stuff.
There you go.
OMG Cinnamon Rolls. I think that's what I'm going with because that's what it's been.
Well, there you go. Everything's going to be in the description. Make sure you find and follow Sarah and all of her future events and things that are going to be happening. I mean, you're driven.
Yes.
So, and that's good. So, of course, definitely all the links will be in the description. And if there's anything that we can do for you, and if you want to share, like, subscribe, rate, review, all the different things for the podcast, it's all at whatsyourproblempodcast.com. We really do appreciate it. And hit us up. What can we do for you? Can we have you on? You know somebody that we need to have on. Somebody here in Middle Tennessee that's going through earning the battle scars.
Yes.
Sarah, thank you for being on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It absolutely has been.